What is up, everybody? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is Friday, September 13th. It's Denise Salcedo here with Robin Lundberg, and we are going to talk about WWE Smackdown returning. We're here. USA Network premiere. This is so exciting. Robin, I want to start off by getting into the fact that everybody was excited, like, hey, USA premiere. People are looking to see how SmackDown is going to be different. And really, we saw a lot of differences right off the bat. New logo, new text, new color. I mean, the colors are the same, right? But they look a little different just because of the style. But the aesthetic is just different. The stage looks really cool. 3 big, giant, big screens that we had there. On top of that, we got a brand new a brand new theme song by Megan Thee Stallion. So there's a lot to get excited about. I know you're more of the rap guy, Robin, so you can give a little bit more information on this song.
Right, yeah, I mean, I am a rap guy, but the Kendrick type of stuff, the lyrical stuff is a little bit more my speed. And I got nothing against Megan Thee Stallion and any of her Stallion-esque performances. But it's not
Robin, I was counting on you to give me information on this song.
I don't know if it's her new joint. I don't know. Megan Thee Stallion doesn't. I feel like I know Megan Thee Stallion more for how do I say this delicately? Twerking than I do for her actual music per se. Like, the biggest hit she has is the one that Beyonce did the remix for, that Jay-Z wrote Beyonce's verse on. So the Savage, Savage, that one. That one is her biggest crossover hit. But yeah, Megan Thee Stallion is certainly a big pop culture featured artist right now. I'm just surprised it wasn't The Weeknd, because WWE likes to go with The Weeknd.
Yeah, they really do use The Weeknd a whole lot, don't they? But I mean, it's totally different. Like, I know why they chose the song. It's a pretty cool, like, fast, like you mentioned, like, lyrical style. So it's a good song, and it feels very modern. I like that it's mainstream, so it's going to catch a little bit more of attention, and it's going to just have a more fun, interesting vibe. Personally, I'm more of like, I like when WWE does like rock, heavy metal type songs. I like that really big time energy. So this is totally not really like my neck of the woods type stuff.
WWE was a reference point this week when it comes to music. I don't know if you know this, because Kendrick Lamar was announced as the halftime performer at the beginning of the week. And of course there was, I'm super excited about it. I think it's the right choice. But there's a little backstory there, given Jay-Z selects the halftime shows, and Jay-Z has a little bit of a history with Drake going back a ways, and obviously Kendrick's thing with Drake. So Drake's fans got all into a tizzy. And because the concert or the Super Bowl is emanating from New Orleans, Lil Wayne, who originally signed Drake, Young Money, that connection, is from New Orleans. So all of a sudden, even though I don't know if these people were saying this before, everyone was saying it should have been Lil Wayne who was there in New Orleans, like a bunch of these internet folks, who I really think what they were doing was using Wayne as a proxy for Drake, because they're still in shambles about what Kendrick did to Drake. And then therefore, this is their way about crying. This is the way of crying about Kendrick getting the halftime performance, but pretending it's about something else, about Lil Wayne. But if you recall, Lil Wayne did perform at WrestleMania. And it didn't go great. It wasn't his, let's say he wasn't in his prime peak, Carter 1, Carter 2, Carter 3, no ceilings era style of Wheezy. So it was used as a reference point for some people saying, hey, maybe he wasn't ready for that Super Bowl halftime show anyway. This is how he looked at WrestleMania.
Okay, well, that is pretty astonishing, and it puts a lot of pieces together, because I had seen pieces of this on social media, and I'm like scrolling. When you see things you just don't know about, and you're like putting the pieces together. So thank you, Robin. You finally put the pieces together for me. But I'm excited to see Kendrick Lamar, I guess, do the Super Bowl. That'll be fun to see. But as for this, again, totally different style of music. I know that obviously BTS is super popular. You got one of the guys from BTS on this song. So I wonder if the BTS fans sites are going to pick up any of this and be like, hey, wrestling is using, one of our guys' themes, one of our guys' songs. So I don't know. Maybe we will see that.
I think that, look, it should be an honor. It's a big thing. There was somebody who tried to be like, why would you criticize him over his performance at WrestleMania? And I responded, like, I was triggered. I was like, WrestleMania sold out a football stadium 2 days in a row, buddy. You know, that is a big, huge, massive event. If you're not prepared to perform at WrestleMania, you know, that's basically as close as it gets to the Super Bowl.
Really, honestly, I mean, it's huge. It's a huge opportunity. Okay, so with that being said, I did like the presentation for SmackDown. It's gonna take a second to get used to seeing all. They did a bunch of little things that are so different. They were adding more little lower thirds in the bottom where they were showing, you know, the results of what had happened on the show. They were doing more of like, hey, this is what's coming up on the show as well. They were already doing that type of stuff on SmackDown, but I think they've added even more. So they've added more imagery on the screen. I thought that was cool too. I don't know. I really, really like just like the overall look of the show. And we were talking earlier in this watch along where it looks more modern. And obviously that's obviously what you're going to want whenever you update anybody, whenever anybody upgrades their logos and whatnot. It's always to just kind of go more with the time. So I thought they looked really great, but let's go ahead and get into it. We kicked off the show with, I felt the first 38 minutes of SmackDown were incredibly strong. So we kicked it off with Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, of course, introduced by Triple H because he kicked off the show and welcomed everybody to SmackDown on the USA Network, and then basically announced that this match was kicking off the show. And I thought, oh shit, because I thought that Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa was going to be the main event. I wasn't expecting it to be the opener, but given how everything worked out, it made sense that since they weren't going to have any commercial, you might as well do this whole match all the way forward. So all the way straight through. Dude, I'm just going to say this right now. This match was so much better than what we saw at SummerSlam between Cody and Solo. Their match at SummerSlam, it just did not feel, I mean, there wasn't fireworks until Roman Reigns came out, but I felt that they did a really good job in this match where it was entertaining. They were utilizing the cage, which I always love because I hate to see people in steel cage matches that don't actually utilize the cage, and they definitely did that here. I thought Solo had some really great moments, and so did Cody. What'd you think of the steel cage match?
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was definitively the best match of Solo Sikoa's career. Forget just Cody and Solo and SummerSlam. I have never seen Solo in a better match than that. I mean, I can't, certainly that I can recall. It is the best match that I've ever seen Solo Sikoa participate in. And I think the cage helped him in particular because it allowed him to play to his strengths a bit, feel a little bit more menacing, pull off some moves that in a regular match would seem basic, but with the involvement of the cage seemed a little bit more brutal. Cody was also great in this. I mean, the Cody cutter he hit off the side was executed to perfection. Obviously, you're right. The extended no commercial break aspect of it really helped. And Denise, I know you're used to this, but I always use my kids as a reference point. My son, Raj, my oldest one, said, Dad, this would be a really good match even if it was on a PLE. And I said, exactly right. You know, like, it's not just a good match for TV. That would have been, what, a 4.5 star match on a big show too. Like, it was a very, very strong kickoff to SmackDown on USA Network. A very, very strong kickoff to the show and the direction that they took it, especially when you go to the end of the show and tie it back in. And it was the best performance of Solo Sikoa's career.
I think you might be onto something there, because I was trying to think like if there was another match that I really liked of Solo Sikoa, and then nothing really jumped out of me so quickly. So I feel like you might be onto something there with that. But yeah, you mentioned that Cody cutter off of the cage, man. That was freaking cool. Of course, Cody doing the crossbody off the top of the cage. That was awesome too. They just did a lot here where I almost felt like Solo Sikoa sort of redeemed himself here, right? Because a lot of people weren't really that interested in seeing this match happen once again. And so I did kind of feel like Solo basically redeemed himself in this matchup here. But the other thing that I was wondering when the shot started was, are we going to be seeing Roman Reigns? And for the most part, I think a lot of people felt like, yeah, we're going to be seeing Roman Reigns. It's the premiere. We're going to see it happen, right? But I didn't want it to happen during the match. And I'm glad that it didn't happen during the match because I wanted to see Cody Rhodes successfully defeat Solo Sikoa on his own without having to need the help of Roman Reigns. Similarly to the way that it was done on SummerSlam. You wanted to see something different, right? And so I'm glad that it wasn't until afterwards. But let me tell you, man, so after this match ended, we see Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. They all go out there and they get into the cage and they're all attacking Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes is being, completely outnumbered. And you sensed it. You're like, okay, this is the moment where Roman Reigns is going to come out. This is the moment where it's going to happen. Jacob Fatu goes to the top of the cage, Robin. I don't know about you, but I was so freaking ready to see this man do like a flying headbutt off of the top of the cage or something crazy, right? And then instead, Roman Reigns' theme song hit, and I thought, cool, so excited to see Roman Reigns. But damn, I wanted to see what Jacob Fatu was going to do off of the top of the steel cage. But Roman comes in there, he goes at it, takes out the bloodline, has this moment with Jacob Fatu, but Solo Sikoa ruins the moment and drags out Jacob Fatu, which I kind of hated because I wanted to see these two collide, like the Samoan werewolf, the tribal chief. I wanted to see this collision.
That's why it was brilliant, right? Like that's why they're doing because they evoke that feeling from you. You wanted more. You wished it would happen. You know it's going to happen. You know it is coming and en route. And they've been doing that very nicely. Again, I really think the injury angle with Jacob Fatu was for that very reason, to keep Roman and him away from each other. Obviously, Fatu was the one that cleaned house with Roman. When you get to lay out Roman, that's a big deal. And then now they're again keeping them kind of away from each other so that it feels bigger when they do get back together and they have that face-off. So I think that was actually quite effective. I think they changed Roman's theme again. If you notice, it came in a little quicker. The other one took a long time to build the new Roman hero theme, the tribal chief hero theme.
Yeah, you're right. We were talking about that when they changed it.
Yes. So I think they tweaked it again. So if you notice in this one, it was a little different. It felt like the da-na-na, da-na-na, like hit earlier on in the theme, which I thought was I still like the OG one. I would still go with the OTC theme, but I like this one, I think, better than the one that they had been using. But I thought the entire way that they have told that story was really well done, from the tension between Fatu and Roman in an eventual collision, the obvious tension obviously between Roman and the bloodline as a whole, and specifically Solo Sikoa for him staking his claim as tribal chief, and then the tension with Cody and Roman despite this uneasy alliance. And that was started there in the beginning, where there's a really cool shot of Roman sort of looking at the bloodline and Cody behind him, over the shoulder. And it just gives you that like, oh yeah, all right, we're cooking now. We got, these two guys who have had this magical chemistry often against each other. Now we know they're going to be aligned, but we know that alignment is eventually going to wind up with them going back against each other at some point. And that to me is a long-term cool payoff that's going to pay off in the short term as well.
Well, speaking of the short term, we have another match that has been added to Bad Blood, and this was the closing of the show. The closing of the show, we saw that it is going to be happening. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. Now, it seemed like Cody Rhodes, he went out there and he told Nick Aldis, I'm done. I don't want anything more to do with the bloodline. I'm finished. Let this be Roman Reigns' problem, right? And I kind of disagreed with Cody when he had that backstage moment. I get it. He wants to be done with the bloodline. All makes sense. But in my mind, I'm like, Cody, 20 minutes before this, you had all of these guys beating you up. That was before Roman Reigns even got there. If I were you, I would want some revenge, even if it was just for that specific moment. So I personally wanted him to, I didn't want him to say he didn't want to be in that match, because I felt like he should want to be in that match to get revenge for them on that attack. And I know it's probably going to be a never-ending cycle with him in the bloodline, but it's, you don't want to just walk away after you had, 4 men beating on you. But as we all learned to find out with the closing of the show, it is going to happen. We are going to be seeing Roman and Cody team up together. And I think what really solidified it at that moment, at least for Cody, was that Tama Tonga and Tongaloa attacked them from behind when they were distracted by Solo and Jacob Fatu. So there was a lot here. But in my mind, I can't believe we're going to be seeing Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns teaming up together. But it just feels so lopsided, right? Because you got these big, massive stars in Cody and Roman, and you got Solo and Fatu. Like, Fatu's great, right? But it doesn't, but he's not nowhere near the level of Cody and Roman in terms of superstardom. So it feels so lopsided in terms of just what you want to see come out of it.
Except for, there's the storytelling aspect again of it, the history between Cody and Roman, the implicit knowledge that we have that Roman's going to eventually want that championship back, right? Like, so that is an underlying subplot of it. And then going back to what you just said about Jacob Fatu, Denise, like, that's the feeling they're trying to establish with him. They are making him into a bona fide, real attraction, at least as an in-ring performer. I don't know if he'll get there with all the rest of the stuff that you need to be, Roman or Cody, but as an in-ring performer, he is already there. So it doesn't feel quite so lopsided, and I bet you that's the way that they do it, is Fatu goes through a stretch of that match where he is just kicking their asses from corner to corner of the ring and perhaps through a table and the like. So I think that's the way that they tell the story of that match, along with the, unspoken tension between Roman and Cody, knowing their history and knowing that Roman's going to want to have that championship back. And to be quite frank, this is the most intrigued by a Cody Rhodes match I've been since he became champion.
That's because Roman's back. That's because Roman's back.
I mean, you said it for me, but it's also the truth.
I could read your mind, Robin. I could read your mind.
I wasn't even going to say it. It's the way, like, it feels like where are they going with it, right? Like, it's the first time since Cody won the championship and he's been in a match, I don't know exactly where they're going with it at the end. So I think that's, aside from obviously Roman's star power and what he brings, I think that's the other thing. Are Roman and Cody going to have a stare down if they win? Are they going to actually lose because one screws up on the other? How is that going to unfold? And I think that's interesting.
I think Jacob Fatu is really going to he's going to be the star for the team. For his team, he's going to be the star. He's going to be the one that people are going to keep their eye out on in terms of like how it's like what he's going to do, how this is going to go. And I feel like that's honestly, that's going to be the intriguing point. Like you mentioned earlier, seeing Jacob Fatu, beat up on Cody Rhodes, beat up on Roman Reigns. Like that is going to be the most intriguing part of this match, but also seeing just how Cody and Roman work together. I hate to say it, but can they coexist? We all know we're going to be thinking that. All of us are going to be thinking that. I'm pretty sure we'll get that line like 100 times on commentary, but it is going to be like a weird dynamic because we've been seeing Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes at odds with each other for such a long time now that seeing them on the same side of things, it's going to feel like the Twilight Zone. I'm not used to seeing it yet.
Yeah, and I think that's also why they did the slow payoff to even Cody sign. Cody's like, all right, I don't want to deal with the bloodline anymore. And then at the end, he does sign the contract. But again, if it goes well for them, you still have the other aspect of it of, okay, when's Roman coming for that championship? If it doesn't go well for them, it can be set up either way. So I think it's brilliant booking. I think it's brilliant storytelling. And I think it makes the product as a whole feel more important all of a sudden because you got Roman back, yes, but you got, as much as I say it about Roman, and I mean it about Roman to me has now a case as the greatest of all time and is the biggest needle mover and all those things. Cody and Roman together have been excellent. I can say whatever I want about Cody's title reign, and it hasn't been the match quality. The match quality has been strong. But whenever Cody and Roman have been in the ring together, magic has happened. You can go back a couple WrestleManias ago. I know some people didn't like the result. I think in retrospect, it looks great. You can go to this past WrestleMania, not just night 2 when they were one-on-one, but the moments of night 1 in that tag match with The Rock and Seth. Cody and Roman rocked it when they were in the ring together. Even tonight, when you saw them in the ring together, the way that they were able to tell the story without necessarily saying anything. They rocked it in the ring together, and I have no doubt whatever direction they go, they are going to rock it in the ring together at Bad Blood.
Oh man, well there you go. I'm sold now. We got some super chats here. Let's get to it. We got Chris Ledeck who says, with this big tag match, I think Solo and Jacob Fatu need to win with Roman taking the pin to build to War Games. Oh no, I can't. No, I'm sorry, Chris. I know we have to build to War Games. I'm 100% in agreement with that. I just personally cannot see either Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes taking the pin here. I'm sorry, I can't see it.
The only way I can see it is if one costs the other accidentally. Like, I think that makes it seem like if, whatever.
They can't coexist.
Yeah, they can't go, or it messes up the wrong way where Roman winds up spearing Cody, or Roman gets shoved into the Cody cutter following, another beatdown but that to me could be the way that you do it to keep the tension going. But I'm not against the idea by Chris. I don't want to see Roman pinned so close to coming back. As
it can't be Cody. He's the champion.
Though he was pinned by Solo not that long ago, right?
No, I don't want to see it. No.
Solo pinned Cody again.
That was to kind of give Solo a leg up in their one-on-one match heading into SummerSlam, though.
Sure, but if Cody and unless you set up Cody Roman 3 with their win somehow, if Cody and Roman go over, doesn't that dead the whole thing right now? So I think he's kind of right that in order to keep it going, Solo and Fatu need to win.
I know they have to have, trust me, I know they have to get the leg up somehow to make them feel like legit challengers, right? But it feels like it's too much. It's too much at a cost. And Roman Reigns just returned, and he's Roman Reigns. And then Cody Rhodes, the champion. I can't pick one of them to to get pinned by Solo or Fatu. And I love Fatu, but I just can't buy it right now.
What if it's that Fatu moment? I mean, that's kind of been the way we started this off. What if it's Jacob Fatu?
Yeah, you're right. The most exciting moment would be Jacob Fatu getting some crazy ass, I don't know, freaking flying headbutt sequence, some crazy sequence, and then hitting the flying headbutt or something and pinning Roman Reigns. That would be the most exciting thing.
It's probably the right thing. I think, actually, now that I think about it, as much as I love Roman, don't want to see him pin, I think Jacob Fatu should pin Roman Reigns in this match.
Wow. Either way, it's going to be like a wow type of moment. So they've got something there. But we got Corey MacArthur who says, going to get Denise. I don't know about the watch along. Hello, Denise. And hello, Robin. Hollywood Pillow Princess. Unk, Mr. Umar, hashtag DWO crew. Corey, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you a whole lot. And yeah, I had an embarrassing moment, Robin, on Wednesday. Instead of saying unk, I said unk.
Oh. That's not as bad as your Pillow Princess
oh God
job moment from a couple weeks ago.
And it's stuck, Robin. It's stuck. Pillow Princess for life. And it has not run its course just yet. We got Corey here who says SmackDown Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes 2 team up being lit. Yeah, it's pretty lit, all right. Thank you so much, Corey. We got John Taylor who says new SmackDown aesthetic equals Raw. Use Denise's discount code for Blue Chew. Oh no, I like their new look. It's just gonna take a while to get used to, like anything else, right? It's always gonna take a while to get used to something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that drastically different where I had too much of a reaction. I was like, hey, they got a new look.
No, I did. It's a lot cleaner. The font's different. Somebody was talking about how it looks like Smack Sewn instead of Smack Down because the D is cut off. Yeah. So it's definitely different. It's a cleaner look for sure.
I think but what I meant was I wasn't taken aback. It did not alter my viewing experience.
No, it didn't. Not in a bad way, no. But you did notice the differences. Like I noticed everything that was new, and I was like, oh, that's different. That's new. That's this. That's whatever, you know?
And I was as soon as I saw Triple H come out, like I was reminded I was on a different, because I knew like whenever he does that, it's for something exactly like that. Like, WWE, welcome to SmackDown on USA. You know, why did I go to Vince? I don't know why. You get the point. Every time they do something like that, Triple H comes out to tell you what you already knew and then leave the ring.
Well, did you notice the end credits at the end of the show?
I did. I did. That was interesting. I've never seen that.
Right.
And he got the name. Good for him, by the way. He deserves it. He earned it.
But I thought it was going to be for like everybody, right? Like camera, operator, producers, graphics, all of the things that you see in Hollywood movies. But it was just like, no, just executive producers. That's it. I thought that was very interesting. Really, I did. But
hey, when you run the show,
you can do whatever you want. I'm going to freaking add that to this. I'm at the end of every show. Denise Salcedo. something Denise Salcedo. We got Ebony Prince here who says, hi, Denise and Robin. Great show. Thanks always much. Thank you so much for being a member of the DWO now for 10 months. We got Anthony Giuliano who says, I see you drinking Poppy. Surprised no one using the name Poppy in WWE besides Daddy. Okay. Well, because remember there was Poppy the singer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she would come out. She would do performances. But yeah, I do drink this Poppy stuff every now and then. I like it because it's this is not an ad, by the way. They don't pay me for this, but they got like prebiotics in here. Although I did hear that they were being sued because they don't have enough prebiotics. I don't know.
What is it, like a seltzer water?
It's a soda. It's supposed to be a soda, but it has like prebiotics in it, but a shit ton of sugar. So
how many grams of sugar in there?
4.
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh, it's not?
No, like a regular like a Coke will have like 18. Or
4 grams sounds pretty bad.
No, that's not bad at all.
I don't know. Like I said, they're not sponsoring me, so like I don't give a damn. But I do drink it because I've been trying to find an alternative to soda. So that's what I was trying to do. But anyways, we got Anthony Giuliano who says there was a rumor that they was bringing back the SmackDown Fist. I was kind of disappointed they didn't bring it back. That was, for a lot of people, one of my favorite stages. I love that stage. I've always loved the oval one. The oval stage, I've always loved that one too. I did love the Fist a whole lot, but no, I even though nostalgia always hits and we know it works, nostalgia works amazingly. I think the smart thing to do though is just move forward with a more modern, just a more modern image.
It was good. The aesthetics were clean, and yeah, I don't, you can't redo what happened before, or else then you look lazy. Right, that would be if they did that, the criticism would be, oh, they just redid that from before, right? Like sometimes you can't win.
You can't.
I think they went with the best possible, route where it's not like anything that takes you out, like you're like, what's going on here? But a clear, nice redesign for a new era that I thought they did a good job with it.
We got Anthony Giuliano who says, I was hoping to see Jimmy Uso return tonight. I thought he was. I thought when Cody Rhodes said that he was out and he didn't want to be part of this match, I thought they were going to have Jimmy Uso come in and partner up with Roman Reigns. Did you think that at all?
Yeah, I did. My son had mentioned Jimmy Uso as well as a possibility to come back there. But where is he? He's been gone for a minute now. When was the last time we saw Jimmy? Has it been since WrestleMania?
Right after? Since WrestleMania, yeah. Since WrestleMania, like those periods right there, yeah, for sure. It hasn't been like after that. I don't think so. I feel bad. It's been a while.
It has been a while, but they're also building, right? Like slowly but surely we're building. We've talked about it for a while. We're gonna see The Rock eventually. We're gonna see Jimmy eventually. We're gonna see Jay, I think, back. We're gonna see Sammy back. So they might just be holding him for that specific planned moment. That's probably, in fact, what they're doing is they have a specific return moment in mind for him, and they're just holding him off TV until then.
Probably until War Games. I feel like he should be in War Games.
Possibly,
in one of the teams, but he should be there.
Possibly Bad Blood somehow. I mean, somewhere, yeah. But yeah, War Games makes sense. I mean, I think that's the point where we get to everybody being involved.
We got Sheldon Jackson, who, by the way, has been giving us Victory Road updates. He says Jordan retains the Knockouts title over Wendy Chu and gets attacked by Rosemary and Wendy after. So she got attacked now twice in 1 week. And then next up, Nick Nemeth versus Moose for the TNA World title. They finally did a Santino and Ariana. Oh, they did. They did a Santino and Ariana segment. I've been waiting for that. Okay, I'll wait for someone to clip it out so that I can watch it because I've been waiting for them to interact with one another. Thank you, Sheldon. We got Kevin Zwicker here who says 2024 version of the Mega Powers ended the show. Oh my God. We got Stephen Marchulli who says the final boss returns to set up War Games. Do you expect to see The Rock at some point before War Games? I don't expect to see him until till Raw on Netflix.
I think he'll be before then. Yes, I do.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, I think I saw a report recently too. I'm trying to remember if it came from a reputable source or not. That's the problem with today's day and age, right? You're like, you scroll, you see so many different things, and you forget to like, all right, I didn't
That's
actually.
why I always stick to 2 places. And if it doesn't come from those 2 places,
But
I'm just like, nope.
I think you got to remember how invested The Rock is. You know, this is important for The Rock. The Final Boss thing is a cool character name, but it's also true. He's part of the TKO board. So the more successful that WWE is, the more successful The Rock is. So I think it's all completely dependent on whatever his movie schedule is. So when his movie schedule clears up, he will be back on WWE TV. This is not somebody who you have to question his work ethic, right? The guy's got 25 jobs at a time. You know, so I don't think you have to question his work ethic at all. I think it's just a scheduling thing. And what happened, you know, with that lead up to WrestleMania, they cleared it so that he could be there, you know, night in and night out. And I think the next time he gets a break in his schedule, he will be back on WWE television, at least in a semi-regular capacity.
We got Anthony Giuliano who says maybe the bloodline take out Cody in the coming weeks, and Jimmy Uso might replace Cody Rhodes for Bad Blood. Nah, I feel like he's got to remain. I think that having Jimmy replace Cody would kind of feel like a little bit of a step down. I feel like the match would lose a little bit of star power. So I would say keep now that you made it official, it's got to remain official with Cody there.
Oh yeah, and not even just that. It's not even just. We know. I've been saying it all show. Cody and Roman 3 is got to happen. That's got to happen. I mean, Cody's been saying it in every press appearance he's doing. He's saying the biggest money match they have is Cody Roman 3. Now, maybe, you know, he's underselling what Rock and Roman would be, or even himself and Rock would be. But that, I want to see it too. I want to see it too. Those guys have put on classics. So I think this is perfect because it ups the star power for the match. It ups the star power for the card, the anticipation for the card as a whole, and it ups the possibilities of where you can go and keeps that seed of, okay, when are they doing it? Like, you know, when are we going for it? Because we've never seen them in this sort of situation before.
We got Sheldon Jackson who says, I think Rock versus Cody at Survivor Series for the title. No, man, I think that if they do Rock and Cody, I think it's going to be at a bigger show.
Rock and I mean, that's a pretty big show, no? I mean,
I think it's got to be bigger. I think it's Rock and Cody. I would wait till, God, I don't know, WrestleMania.
What if Rock takes the belt off Cody at Survivor Series? Roman wins the Rumble, and then it's Roman Rock.
It just feels too soon. Doesn't it feel too soon? Am I crazy?
Not for me. No, doesn't feel too. He's had the belt since WrestleMania. So May, June, July, August, September, October. I mean, Survivor Series is November. That's 7 months. I think at some point
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just feel like they might want to wait until Netflix so that they can tell this story, like continue telling the story on Netflix with Rock and Cody, and that's not going to happen until January.
Sure. I mean, but they have so many different things that they can pull up. They can have the rematch on Netflix. You know, like there's a lot of different, not saying that Sheldon is absolutely correct here. We don't know. We're speculating. But I mean, you know, you have to start paying all these things off at some point. What was the last thing The Rock said on TV? More or less.
I don't know, but didn't he give that gift to Cody?
Yeah, it was me and you, Cody, more or less, right? Like that's what that meant. Me and you. At some point, we're getting Rock and Cody. At some point, we're getting Rock and Roman, and at some point, we're getting Cody and Roman. I don't know what order those are coming in. I don't know how we're getting there, but barring an injury, I am 100% certain and positive we're getting those 3 matchups. And if we're not, then whoever's running creative in WWE should be fired, and Triple H's name should not be on the end of the show.
Oh my gosh. Sheldon Jackson, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you, man. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from here and get into some of the other topics that occurred on SmackDown. We got a 2-minute match between Michin and Piper Niven. It was very quick, but Michin got a big victory. At least I consider it a big victory over Piper Niven, because Piper Niven, when we're talking about someone who was just challenging for the WWE Women's Championship against Bayley not too long ago, and now she's out here losing to Michin. Personally, I think this match could have even gone longer. I mean, of course, 2 minutes is not very long, so I do think it could have gone longer, but I really do like that Michin is getting some big wins.
Yeah, look, I mean, you have to start building others too, right? I mean, you can't always be the same carousel and rotation of players, but the women's division is deep. I mean, we saw a lot of it tonight. You saw Nia Jax tonight. You saw obviously Tiffany tonight. You saw Jade and Bianca and Bayley. Obviously, Rhea is her own sort of level superstar right now. What she's going on with Liv. I mean, we haven't seen Charlotte Flair in a minute. Io Sky, we really haven't seen. So like there is a lot to work with. So it's nice with that being the case, with that being the preface statement, for them to still be able to develop a little bit within. And Michin's had her run here in the last few weeks where it feels like they've tried to feature her a little bit as a subplot of the show.
I love that. No, you're right on that. It feels like they should. I feel like they're just waiting, right? Like now they're setting her up, they're building her up, and then they're just waiting to like officially like, launch her into superstardom, hopefully. Because I think she's been very, very fun. All right, let me see where we're at with here. We got Steven Marchulli who says the final boss returns to set up war games. Did I read that one already?
You did.
I think I did. I'm sorry. Okay, I read this. Did I read this one already? Maybe the bloodline takes out Cody. Okay, yes. So I'm here with Anthony Giuliano who says Cody Rhodes needs a program after Bad Blood for Survivor Series. Maybe Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes at Survivor Series. That's what a lot of people have been sort of waiting and anticipating. But speaking of Randy Orton, we had Randy Orton and Kevin Owens versus A-Town Down Under and Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. I think what was funny here is that all of this was so predictable. Everybody knew Randy was going to come out and team up with Kevin Owens. Everybody knew that they were going to win. And they tried to make this very predictable match. They tried to swerve us a little bit, send us in a different direction, and they send out this guy that nobody knows. Ricky out there. Apparently, by the way, we do have somebody here in the chat who actually knows him, John Taylor, who shared some stories with us during the watch along about him, which was great. But for the most part, a lot of people did not know who Ricky was, and everybody was like, what are we doing? But then of course it was Randy Orton, and they go out there and they have the match that you would expect for them to have. So they tried to make something that was super predictable a little unpredictable.
I thought it was a good bit. I thought because we all like, had same reaction. I think they had on the commentary, like, who the hell or what the hell, or and I got to Googling and I found out who he was in the middle of it, and I'm like, are they really going through with it? And then, of course, you get the word from the ring announcer. And as soon as you saw that, okay, well, this guy's about to get stunned. Like, that was a guarantee, a layup. And then you had a pretty good idea that the next words you heard were going to be, I hear voices in my, like you had a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I feel you too. So there really wasn't much to say other than that's what it was, We got Terrence Johnson here who says, who do you see taking the pin in the women's tag match next week? Plus, I groaned when I found out Hook won at All In. All right, so that's our next segment here. We got Nia Jax and Bayley. So there was kind of quite a bit that happened here. So Nia Jax is going out there. She's talking about her championship run and how great and wonderful she is. And we then see Bayley come out. Bayley comes out and she wants a rematch against Nia Jax for the women's championship. But then Naomi comes out. She wants a title shot. Tiffany Stratton is out there. She's friends with Nia Jax. She goes out there. So everybody wants a shot against Nia Jax. Of course, not Tiffany Stratton. She's sort of minding her own business because she's still friends with Nia Jax. But a match is made next week, a tag match. We're going to see Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton versus Bayley and Naomi. Now, here's where it gets fun. The one who wins the match, if Nia and Bayley win the match, whoever wins the match for their team gets a shot against Nia Jax. However, whoever takes the loss is going to be banned from SmackDown, which probably means they're moving on over to Raw. So now this is very, very fun. I got to tell you, I like this little bit that they did here of how they're going to how they're going to go about it. I feel like the options here, and a lot of people are wondering, does this mean Bayley is moving over to Raw? Is she going to be the one to take the pin and go on over to Raw?
I mean, I feel like the Tiffany Nia thing has something going on there.
Yes. So they still tease the dissension still. It hasn't fully blown up yet, but it's going to happen at some point.
Between that and the Money in the Bank, it makes me think those two are safe. So that leaves the other two involved. Maybe that's what Bayley needs right now. That sounds like a good idea to me when it's laid out for me. I mean, because we've discussed it here. Like, she had her nice coronation at WrestleMania. The title run was meh, and now she's sort of floundering a little bit. I don't. What exactly is her direction? Maybe this is a way to kickstart her in a new direction.
Well, see, I see like two probable options here. One, Bayley loses and she goes to Raw, right? But then that would still leave Nia Jax without an opponent for Bad Blood. So let's say that Bayley or Naomi were to get the win, then she would face one of those two girls. And then I'm assuming the cash-in from Tiffany Stratton would happen at Bad Blood.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess the cash-in could still happen between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax if it happens at the event itself, right? But that doesn't undo what happens before. So, right, like whoever takes the pin is still off of SmackDown.
Right. Whoever takes the pin is off of SmackDown from Naomi or Bayley.
So, I mean, I guess I could see it being Naomi too. I mean, if they decide to go in that, because what if Tiffany and Nia win and then Tiffany cashes in?
So, what did you say? If Nia and Tiffany. Okay, so if Nia and Tiffany win, then that leaves Nia without a match at Bad Blood.
Unless Tiffany cashes in, wins, and then Nia challenges her to
But when would she cash in? Would she cash in next week on SmackDown?
No, right after the match. Right after they win.
On SmackDown?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want the cash in to be on SmackDown.
Well, I mean, no. What if it's at the event? Oh, I guess SmackDown has to. Okay.
Because the tag team match is happening at SmackDown.
SmackDown to set up who's facing Nia Jax. Yeah. So I'm sorry.
There's a lot in here. There's a lot.
Stipulations in this match. So yeah, it's happening at SmackDown, not at the pay-per-view. Who do I guess that my answer would be, who do I want to face Nia Jax, right?
I would like to see Naomi.
Yeah,
she hasn't had a shot at a PLE.
And I could see them stylistically matching up well, where Naomi can do some of the acrobatic stuff, and that works well within the grasp of the power stuff that Nia Jax can do.
My favorite part was when Tiffany tried to hit Naomi with the briefcase, and Naomi just boom gets her in the face with her butt. I was so amazed by the timing of that. I thought that was phenomenal. So phenomenal. But anyways, Terrence Johnson, great question. Thank you so much for asking. We got Anthony Giuliano who says, what are your thoughts on Vince McMahon documentary coming up in a week and a half? So I have a friend who watched it. He's not in wrestling. He's like in the Hollywood entertainment space. So it's so funny because I reached out to Netflix to try to get some screeners in advance, and I was told they are not doing screeners. So I guess what happened is they apparently gave a screener to somebody, and that person ended up leaking it. I don't know who it was, but I guess they ended up leaking the screener. And so now Netflix is like, nope, like we're not going to be giving out screeners to anybody because this got leaked, right? So you can't be really trusted. So yeah, but I do have somebody that I know that watched it. And they said that it was fine, that it was okay, that they felt that, that they covered, that it doesn't lean towards one side or the other. And so I thought, okay, well, I guess I'll have to wait and see until I get to see it from my own eyes and see how it's presented.
Well, I mean, I don't think a documentary, unless it's with a purpose, should lead one way or the other. The documentary should document what happened.
Right.
And Vince McMahon's life, character, legacy, scandals, all of that is fascinating without, a point of view attached to it. You form your point of view when you see the information out there. And there's a lot we know about Vince, going back to the fact that he was a pioneer of putting professional wrestling on television, national cable television. And really, most likely, I think, if you were to put me on the Family Feud and say, number one answer on the board, who's the most important person in the history of professional wrestling, my answer might be Vince McMahon. I don't know if that's the number one answer on the board with the popular vote. You have The Rock, you have Hulk Hogan, you have Stone Cold Steve Austin. But I think Vince McMahon is probably the single most influential figure in the history of pro wrestling. So there's the good of that, meaning that it blew WWE up. It blew this business that we love up. And we're here talking about it today in large part because of that. And there's the good of it on television as a character. We cannot forget that Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon were the linchpin of a big portion of the Raw Attitude Era that so many credit for exploding pro wrestling even further. And Vince was an electrifying character on screen. He was great at that, probably because he was as much of an asshole as his character was. Then there's the other side of it. And we, of course, know what the other side of it is. Going back to the steroid thing and Hulk Hogan, changing his testimony at the last second when it came to the steroid. Going to what we found out about Vince, or at least the allegations about Vince recently that maybe shocked some people, certainly didn't shock me, knowing what I already knew about Vince McMahon, right? Like, so there is a lot to the life and character of Vince McMahon. Some of it great and entertaining, some of it reprehensible and ghastly. And I don't know how they laid it out. I don't know what the interview footage they got from him looks like. I don't know how they presented it. But if you can't do a good Vince McMahon documentary, you suck. So I would say that's
why all the material's there for you, bro. Yeah. You got drama, you got it all, right?
You got everything. So it should work. And as a result, I'm really looking forward to it because everybody can have their own opinion, draw their own conclusions. I think it's fair to say Vince McMahon is a fascinating character who's lived a fascinating life. That doesn't mean it has to be painted glowingly, of course.
Right.
But I think that statement itself is true.
So I'm curious to see, how it's presented and whatnot. But I heard it was good. I heard that they cover a lot of topics. Of course, the stereo child. They also talk about Owen. That's talked about on there. I forgot what else he mentioned, but pretty much like every big topic is apparently mentioned in there.
I remember watching that in real time, Denise. Like, I remember watching that. And now, I guess it's so funny because I was young, but then you go back and you think about what happened. Like, I remember what happened, and I remember it being announced on the Jim Ross announcing it on the air, and then you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And then they took this man's body off the mat and kept going. Like, that call was made, and we know that's Vince. So, that's think about that in today's day and age.
No, I don't think we can. I don't think we can get into that mind. I know I can't. It's like trying to think about when you watch a murder documentary and you're trying to get into the mind of the serial killer, and you're like, I can't.
Well, I mean, the closest thing
I can't get into the mind of making the decision of continuing the show.
The closest I can think about it is the Bills game where DeMar Hamlin.
Oh, yeah.
Died on the field.
Yeah, I remember that.
Had to be revived on the field. And there was that moment of, are they going to restart the game or not? And there were conflicting reports. That's probably luckily he survived and he's still with us here today. But that's probably the closest parallel I can think of. And they eventually didn't. And I think most people would say that was the right call. But it is one of those things where I remember seeing it as a kid and going, wow, this is crazy. I can't believe it. And then crying my eyes out the next day as they honored Owen. And then I remember revisiting how I felt as a kid and as an adult with the realization and the wherewithal to go, holy shit, that happened and they kept the show going.
I wonder if they're going to ask him about that. I don't know. We'll see. But that's just kind of a little bit about what I know so far about this documentary. So we'll see. All right. Anthony Giuliano says, looks like we're getting Nia Jax and Tiffany versus Bianca and Jade for the tag team championship. That was another tease that was made backstage too. So that could also be a possibility. I think they should at some point. And they had really terrible things to say about Naomi, which also makes me think, you know what, maybe they should do Nia Jax versus Naomi. We got Sheldon Jackson here who says, last Victory Road update. Nemeth retains the TNA World title against Moose. JBL showed up again and took out Edwards and Myers. Yeah, JBL's been making some appearances on TNA. Kind of wild, but hey, that's where we're at in 2024. Sheldon, thank you so much for the updates. We got David Primero who says, rumor is Nia Jax versus Charlotte for the women's title when the Queen returns. And that event, Tiffany will cash in to win the title to set up a match at Mania. I would love that. If those are the rumors, I am here for it because I love Charlotte and I love Tiffany Stratton. So yeah, I would love to see that come to fruition. So we'll see if that is what ends up happening there. But thank you so much to David Primero. All right, so Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. This is the 5th time that we've gone in this match. We kind of already know what this looks like already, but just to emphasize, Andrade wins. So now I think it's 3-2, and he's gonna go on to face LA Knight. Did they say if it's happening next week or when it's happening? I think it is next week. Andrade versus LA Knight for the US title. Anything else that we haven't already discussed in regards to the story?
I don't think so. But I do think within the story they've done a nice job of giving Andrade something to do, and a nice, a reputable, formidable opponent for LA Knight as well in this US title reign. I wouldn't say I'm like pumping my fists and going crazy about it.
Yeah, me either.
But
it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been fun to see Carmelo and Andrade work together.
And it's also been fun to see that doesn't happen too often, where you see two people in the ring with each other that often in succession, right? Like, and it kind of happened organically, I think, because the first one was so good that they ran it back and then ran it back and ran it back. So I think all in all, it's done well. And I think LA Knight and Andrade is, I don't say it as well as you do. Andrade and LA Knight is
Andrade el ídolo.
I think it's a solid match.
Yeah, I feel like it's really benefited both Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. Like, this has been the best thing for them since Andrade's return from AEW to WWE, as well as Carmelo Hayes since he was drafted. This was 100% the best thing that they've had for them. And now I wonder, what's going to happen here with Carmelo Hayes? What are we going to go on from here? Because Andrade is going on to LA Knight. So I hope that they keep Carmelo Hayes, keep the buzz that he has from this feud with Andrade and keep that going. I did interview Carmelo and he called out John Cena. So I know that he's somebody else who wants his shot against John Cena. And, in this closing tour, I can imagine that John Cena is going to do things where he puts, younger guys over. I mean, we saw him in the ring with Solo Sikoa and took like 5,000 freaking Samoan spikes. So who knows? Maybe he will go on to face Carmelo Hayes at some point, but just putting that out there. But that was really it for SmackDown here today and the start of this new era. We got Anthony Giuliano here who says, I hope we get TNA Invasion for Survivor Series. I don't know. I feel like they're keeping the TNA Invasion stuff on the NXT universe side of things.
And also those sort of things work well for the Rumble, because that's when you can get some of these surprise appearances. I mean, look, they did it last year, right? So with Grace, right? Wasn't she in the Rumble? So
yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's a good vehicle for it, maybe more so than Survivor Series, where you're doing a full build for everything else that you got going on versus a random, like, this is a cool pop moment.
I feel ya. All righty, everyone. So there you go. That, my friends, was WWE Smackdown September 13th. Robin, before we wrap things up, before we end things, what do you got going on? Let the people know where they can follow you.
Yeah, of course, you can follow me on all social media. I'm at Robin Lundberg on the Twitter X machine. The YouTube channel is my name as well. I run a women's basketball website through Sports Illustrated, Women's Fast Break on SI. And you can catch me here with Denise on Friday night.
Dude, your YouTube channel has grown so much, by the way, from like where you first started to where you are now. Like, you're killing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was essentially zero.
Yeah, it was zero. It was zero.
Where it is now to, getting a couple million views a month. And the website did 2.5 million page views this week. So
insane.
So yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed that trends continue, because talk about the final boss, my own boss, if it keeps up.
No, but seriously, guys, go check out Robin's content. Really great stuff over there. And that's it for us here. Of course, I will be back on Monday for the Raw watch along, and then Tuesday NXT, Wednesday Dynamite, Friday I'll be back once again with Robin. And let me know if you guys want me to do more watch alongs for SmackDown. This was a impromptu thing. I wasn't even going to do this, but someone requested it, and so I decided to do so. And it turned out very, very well. So if you guys want more SmackDown ones, let me know. I'll consider it. So thank you guys so much. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. I will be on the air tomorrow on Busted Open if you guys want to check that out as well. But don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Yeet.